There's a reason why certain CEOs or athletes make what they do, because they have perfected it and they've done whatever it takes to get that good. So now they're worth that amount of money because people want to pay to watch and want to be around them. Are you willing to put in all of those hours? Because I guarantee you they're not hanging out with their buddies.
Produced by Podcast Architects.
Welcome back to Hit the Gas. I'm your host, Jake. I'm here with Dr. Rick Fernandez. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Jake?
I'm pretty good. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about advice that you would give to younger people.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of people out there who are my age, I'm a young guy, and they don't know what they're doing with their lives, or, maybe some advice that you would give to someone looking to get into some sort of, they want to make money, right?
Right.
But they don't know how to do it. And some mistakes that you might see them making. And I want you to be 100% just candid and honest with me. Maybe unorthodox, but if you could start off with just telling me what's some advice that you would give your 19-year-old self.
Well, I think the first thing I would say is age is not a factor in this conversation. And what I mean by that is, yes, I'm sure there are a lot of people your age that are working through this. What do I do? What's my career? How do I make money? What do I love, right? Well, the reality is there's a lot of people my age. There's a lot of people in their 50s. There's a lot of people that are about to retire that are going through this. So first thing I tell you, or tell myself, is this is a never-ending journey.
Okay.
I mean, it's just not. And people that have one career their entire life and has been just fulfilled that whole time, that is very, very rare. Matter of fact, I don't think I know anyone that can truthfully say that from beginning to end in one career, one role, right? So I would tell you, and I would tell myself, like, it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a lifelong journey, most likely. And particularly now. I mean, everything is evolving so fast. So the chances that you're going to have multiple careers and multiple passions, I think that's a good thing.
Okay. What are maybe some of the mistakes that you see younger people, because I know that you work a lot with young people, some general mistakes that you see that you could say, oh man, I know what your problem is, I know how to fix it, some general stuff that you might see in today.
So you said, be 100% candid, and it is a lot simpler than most people think. And what I mean by that is, regardless of your career or what you choose to do, if you can do this, show up on time every day, not take 30 million days off, right? If you can smile and greet your colleagues and greet people that, if you're in the service industry, and if you can generally be a good team player and try to help out even if it's not your role, that seems like very easy pieces to do.
Sure.
Right? But they don't happen very often. And you don't find people that do some of that or all of that very well. So regardless of your industry, if you can do those things, you've got a big head start. So it's really about your habits, right? The habits that you create. And we have all got bad habits. And you've got to try to create the good ones. And when you have a bad one, you got to try to work on it. But for your career, be on time, bust your butt, be happy, be thankful, and work hard. And those sounds like what easy things, what everybody would say, but
Sure.
It's absolutely true.
A lot of kids that I talk to today that maybe are, 18 or younger, even some 20-year-olds and older than that, they want to be kind of social media kind of personalities. What would you tell those kids who maybe they're not delusional, but they're not everybody can be a star? What would you tell them?
I would tell them that it's okay to have that aspiration and have that dream and have a goal to do that. I would also tell them that go down that road if you feel like that's what you want to do. And you will quickly learn the amount of work that's involved with that, right? But even if that's a failure, right? If I came to you and said, you don't want to be an influencer, you're like, I would never tell you that.
Right.
Because if that's what you want to do, there's no better time than to do that right now.
Okay.
And I told my own kids this, and I've had to go back on that because 5 years ago I would have not said that. But that is no longer, the playing field is wide open. What people misjudge is the amount of work, the amount of effort, the amount of planning. I mean, you know this, working with Podcast Architects, all the things that go into making a quality product. So they hit it head on, full speed. And if nothing else, if you fail, you're going to have a ton of valuable learning with what you do with that failure. So those are goals that are now reasonable. They weren't, 10, 20 years ago, but now it can happen.
Right. Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I think that my dad he used to tell me, like, you can't make money playing video games. No one's going to pay you to do that. And now, there's kids who are millionaires making more money than their parents.
No, that's absolutely true. And yes, that can happen. And this is a conversation I had with my middle son, Lance, right? Because he brought that up. I said, you can do that. It is like anything else in this world. But here's the trick, just like everything else. There's a reason why Michael Jordan was the highest paid player. There's a reason why, certain CEOs or athletes make what they do, because they have perfected it and they've worked and they've done whatever it takes to get that good. So now they're worth that amount of money because people want to pay to watch and want to be around them. It's the same thing with Rocket League or whatever else. Are you willing to put in all of those hours?
Sure.
Because I guarantee you they're not hanging out with their buddies. Their faces in front of the computer, probably 12, 14 hours a day, who knows?
Yeah.
But it's all the same metric. It's your effort and how much are you dedicating to it.
Okay. Yeah, so it doesn't matter what industry you're in. It just matters your work ethic.
Part of it is your work ethic.
Okay, part of it.
Part of it is your work ethic. The other part of it is your ability to connect with other people.
Okay.
And a variety of other people, not just people in your market, in your career path, but being able to connect in general.
All right. I kind of have a odd question for
Fire
you.
away.
And it sounds odd. Is failure necessary to be successful?
100%.
Okay.
100%. I don't know anyone that I've ever met, seen, talked to that hasn't had a truckload of failure before they got successful. You just don't hear that story sometimes.
No, I guess you don't. A lot of people, I think, they run into the first roadblock and then they think, oh, I got to find something else to do. They got to, they have to figure, so personally, so I have scoliosis and doctors told me, like, okay, well, you can't play football, you can't do this, you can't work out. I didn't accept that. So, and that's kind of a medical thing. And I think a lot of people today don't really think about that, like, oh, well, I have an excuse and I just want to work off of that. So, so Rick, what do you do whenever maybe you have a dream, right? You have a goal, but you're not qualified to reach that goal. So let's say that maybe you can take some steps, but there's just zero opportunity. Like, success is whenever opportunity meets hard work, right? But what do you do whenever that opportunity doesn't come? Like, is there a way for you to figure out, well, what's the next step? Do you change paths? Do you keep on working at it? Or do you be patient? What do you do?
I mean, I think that depends on the person, and I think it depends on who do you believe, right? Because you're going to have a lot of people tell you no, tell you you're unqualified, tell you that that's not a good fit, or you shouldn't do that, or maybe think about something else, right? And this may be your friends, this may be family, this may be your bosses, your coworkers, whatever, and out of that group and of who's telling you no, who are you going to believe? And I would advise the less people that you believe about your capabilities in a negative sense, the better off you are. I'm not saying you don't need some close people to help you level set and help you, give you feedback. That's very valuable. But there's a lot of people that if, hey, I really want to do this, they're going to say no right offhand without even hearing anything. And I would say that's the majority of people, right? For a variety of reasons. So I think it's who do you believe, and then what are you willing to do to achieve that goal?
Okay. Yeah, that's fantastic. So a lot of kids today and young adults have a problem of finding what they want to do. And a lot of people have told me, well, if you want to find out what you don't want to do is join the military, and they'll make sure that, you have a lot of experiences that you never want to have again. But that kind of sounds counterintuitive in my opinion, like maybe wasting time. So what advice would you give to maybe someone who just has no earthly idea what they want to do?
Well, again, I would say that's most people,
Sure,
right?
sure.
Even people that have a job, and even a lot that have well-paying jobs, doesn't mean that they're satisfied. Doesn't mean that they're happy. Doesn't mean that they even enjoy getting up and going to work. The point of it is you got to get out there. Don't stop momentum and progress. It is okay to go do something and realize, for whatever reason, this is not me. This is not who I am. There are some people that cannot work for another person and will only own their own businesses. They will fail 35 times, but they know they won't go work for someone else because they cannot do it, right? And maybe that 36th time is the one that works. There's other people that they're so risk averse that they won't start. I'm a risk taker in a lot of regard. There are certain points that starting an own business, going all in, that's something that I've always considered, but I slow down with that because what are all of the things at stake and all of that? There's a part of me that wishes I was a little bit more with just diving all in and putting it all on the line. And it's either make or break. So get out there, just start working, start engaging. And if nothing else, understand what the ultimate goal is. And if you don't know what the ultimate goal is, that's okay too. Build skill, build friendships, build relationships, build the ability to talk about a bunch of different things. I mean, you guys get to hear a lot of people talk about a lot of different topics.
Absolutely.
Absorb it, and ask questions when you get the opportunity, because you don't know. There might be somebody walk down the street and that instant you're like, man, that sounds pretty cool. So tell me a little bit more about that. That's how stuff happens. People think that's a pipe dream. It's not. Because I thought I was going to be educated for my whole career. That didn't happen.
Can you give me an example maybe in your life where you showed a lot of risk and then you got the reward? You showed, man, this is really risky, but if it works out, I'll become successful. Is there a story like that in your life?
There is one. There's several, but there's one in particular. So my path to a school superintendent, there's several levels that you have to accomplish to kind of move up the hierarchy, right? One of those is a school principal.
All right.
And so I knew that was a step I was going to have to take at some point. And I was fortunate to work in Katy ISD with a great school district as an assistant principal. And then I got an opportunity to come over to HISD, which is a huge school district, largest in the state, and has very different needs, right? And through that transition, I got an opportunity to take on the role as school principal. It was my first one, which is a big deal. The opportunity was to serve as a principal for a school that had just been taken over by the Texas Education Association, a school that was in very bad straits, and that HISD was annexing and essentially having to get rid of the staff, start from scratch. We're talking about students that couldn't read on a second grade level, and that had been mistreated by some of the adults and how they ran the former district. Well, it was tough. It's challenging. It's, something that a rookie principal probably should not do, would not be an ideal starting situation. And everybody told me that. No, don't take that job. No, it's going to kill your career. It's a mess. You know, you can't help anything over there. Like, why are you doing that? But I didn't listen to any of that. You know, first reason is because kids need help. And, you know, I'm never going to back away from a challenge regardless if I think I can make an impact with students. But the other part was, you tell me that this can't be done because nobody's had to do it before in this way. You've only motivated me to do it now. So all of that, no, you shouldn't. I knew it was like, we'll see, right? We'll see and let it play out as it may. And it was one of the best experiences, and shaped me as a leader and understanding true generational poverty and needs of students that were not like me. Although I grew up similar, there's vast differences. So best experience I ever had.
Wow.
And it was a huge risk. It was a huge risk because there were veteran principals that were out within the first year.
Wow.
That had a lot more experience than me. That on paper you would have said, no way. They'll last the whole time, because there were 7 of the schools that made up this former district. I happened to be the principal of middle school. So that was one of the ones that I had to go against what everybody was saying and just dive in, and you have to have a little bit of ego to do that.
Absolutely.
But I figured at the end of the day, I was doing it for the right reason. So whatever may happen, I was at peace about it.
Nice. That's fantastic. And with that, thank you for watching Hit the Gas. I was joined by Dr. Rick Fernandez. You can find his podcast, The Path Forward, in the link below. Thank you very much for watching.
Produced by Podcast Architects.